From the Homestead Studios in Santa Clarita, California, this is a Headache Soul production. Welcome to Just the Tip-Sters, America's favorite true crime podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Morgan. With me today is my handsome and talented co-host, Joshua Breast Milk Bevan.
Oh, no. Why breast milk?
Because you're always throwing a titty fit.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, boy.
You know how you're such a diva.
Yes, I am. Yes.
So we're stomping your feet and pounding on the desk.
It's part of my rider that I have a latte that's
right. With
110 degrees with frothed breast milk.
There you are, titty fit. Breast milk Bevan.
Oh, boy.
From organic free range moms.
Free range, yeah.
Moms. Okay.
Oh, boy.
I told you you'd like your nickname.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been holding that off for a while. I've been waiting for the perfect moment. And it came perfectly after the episiotomy banter at the beginning.
I didn't think that was going to make it to the air. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Joshua has more experience with episiotomies than I do because,
I should not have looked. Yeah.
But you just love having your babies.
Oh, listen, I love the baby. I said this. I love the babies. Everything else was perfectly there and natural and all of it. I should just have looked away. There's 3 seconds that I should have been looking somewhere else.
Yeah, I don't want to know about anything. That's why I have a dog.
No,
I have a dog. So speaking of things that are really good for you.
Oh, no.
I am madly in love with Magic Mind. It does not contain breast milk.
No breast milk.
But it has a little bit of matcha. It has adaptogens and nootropics and your daily allotment of vitamin A and vitamin D. It is magnificent. I am on, I guess it's maybe beginning week 4. And I love it. I have not missed a day, and it is making a huge difference. It has vitamin B2, B3, B12. It has cordyceps mushrooms, which I used to take separately in like a capsule. And I am, thrilled to death with everything. It gives you energy. It also lowers your stress, and it helps with cognition. So I couldn't be happier with Magic Mind, and I think you will too. I hope that you will give it a try and use our promo code, which is Tip-Sters20 at magicmind.com. They have amazing customer service when you are a subscriber. They have an email address, but they also have a SMS number for texting. I've gotten extremely fast responses when I've had a question, and I haven't had that many questions. I just decided to, give it a try, and I couldn't be happier. It's the world's first mental performance elixir, and Lord knows I need some help mentally. Joshua can second that. But
don't we all?
I am in love with it, and I hope that you will give it a try. Again, I know I told you I got some in consideration for sponsorship, but I am also a paying customer because I love it that much, and I never want to run out. No. So I am, I wouldn't tell you this if I didn't mean it. And if it's something that helps you feel like you are a better you, then you can help other people. It's like the most beautiful ripple effect.
Right.
Yeah, I love it so much. So statistics class for my crime analyst program. Poor Joshua's gotten a few texts of me going, I hope Excel catches fire.
Yeah.
It's killing me, but I will tell you that my professor is fantastic. She is a special agent with the Department of Justice. And she had been a crime analyst for Homeland Security in the past. And the first day of class, the dean, who is a funny, weird ex-cop and also a lawyer, has a JD, but didn't practice law. He just went directly into teaching.
Oh, okay.
And he's now the dean of the it's at the Administration of Justice Department
Oh,
at
okay.
College of the Canyons.
Okay.
And he's such a great guy. I've taken several classes with him. It was during the time just weeks after Mark passed away. And I didn't tell him till the end of the semester. And he was just so great about it. He's like, I can't believe you went through this and you didn't tell me. And he had no idea how important having those classes 3 times a week, showing up for like 3 hours at a time, gave me a purpose and gave me a place to be responsible to and show up and be present. And it, it was one of the things that helped keep me together.
Yeah, wow.
He's terrific, but he showed up to class last week just to check in and say hi. And as he's walking past my desk, he stopped and he goes, better not give her any shit because she'll put you on a watch list. And I'm like, got it. Thank you. Yeah, he's hilarious. He's hilarious. So my alien status is now bleeding over into others. My beloved, sweet friend Mary, who's in class with me, who took notes when I was out on Saturday for my birthday.
Oh, that was nice.
Yeah, we're sitting there doing this terrible thing in Excel, and she goes, she's like really patient, and I bought a fucking iPad for class. It doesn't work. And then, so I just use their computer that occasionally works, but not always.
Right.
And she has her own laptop and she's like, I can hear her like making little noises. Geez. And I look over and I'm like, what's wrong? She goes, it won't let me sign in. It's because I'm sitting next to you. And I'm like, you finally admit that you understand I am an alien. She's like, everything I'm trying, it won't let me sign in. And I'm like, hey, welcome to my world. Won't you come on in? So yeah, it's been fun.
Well,
and the teachers are so kind. I do have to say, today's Thursday. So Tuesday night, the wonderful, professor who's really kick-ass. A lot of people are struggling because it's like all of these shortcuts and codes for Excel, and Excel is terrible. And she came over, to help me, and she's like, can I use your mouse? I'm like, sure. She's using the mouse, and she's like, why won't let me do this? And I'm like, I don't know. And she's using the keyboard, the mouse, and she's like, why? I don't understand. Why doesn't yours have what mine? I don't know. But she finally gets it too. But she's so infinitely patient, thank God. The perfect teacher. That's what I've really noticed is that teachers of any kind, whether it's little kids or grown-ass old people trying to keep their lives together, everyone is so patient.
Sure.
That is like the hallmark of this. And she loves Excel. And she's like, I don't know all of the functions. And I'm like, fuck you. Yes, you do. Yeah. Yes, you do.
You could rewrite Excel from the bottom. Yeah.
But she was struggling on my computer. So I purchased on Amazon what was supposed to be a, what do you call it? A mouse pad that shows you shortcuts. And I got it and I didn't pay attention to the size I ordered, I guess. And it's about 3 feet long. So I actually took it to class so that she could see it and that I'm like goofy as fuck. And it's like, everybody came over and took pictures of it with their phone because they're like, oh, this is awesome. Yeah. So she goes, I really like that. I'm going to take a picture too. So, but it literally covers the entire table.
Sure.
Yeah. But anyway, so I don't even know if I'm going to use it because everything we did on Tuesday, none of those codes we were doing. I don't even want to talk about it. I hate statistics. I'm just going to say that. Me hating statistics.
Wow.
And next month, July, is financial crimes. Don't really care. We had the entire month of August off. So fucking happy. September is the dark web and social media. Looking very forward to that.
Oh, that's cool.
And I honestly don't know what October and November are, but by the end of November, right before Thanksgiving, we should have completed all 10 modules.
That's 10. Oh,
yep.
Cool.
Uh-huh.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's, been, 10 months out of 12. Yeah. I will have been in classes and I'm about halfway through and I'm just plowing through. So.
Yeah, good work.
Yeah, well, don't congratulate me yet. So thank you, Joshua, for my amazing birthday presents, which I opened up after we recorded last week. I got a boba blanket and several unicorn items, and some of them move if you touch their feet. So yeah, I am extremely blessed. I got a beautiful purple bowling ball from Michael that smells like grapes.
The ball smells like grapes.
Oh, you didn't see it?
Well, you texted me.
Oh, a picture of it?
You texted me the picture, and I think you said
it smells like grape, and you thought I was lying?
I don't know. I think I thought something else smelled like grape, but the actual ball itself smells like grape.
And it's for the life of the ball. It's a company called Tropical Storm, and that's one of their things they're known for.
Okay, sweet.
They make like a cherry color, everything.
Yeah, keep smelling like that's cool.
Yeah, when we go downstairs, I'll make you smell my ball.
Okay.
Please do not turn me into HR for sexual harassment.
Yeah. Okay.
It would be very different if you said that to me.
Right.
So
exactly.
yeah. But it's really fucking cool. It's purple and sparkly. And I can't wait to have, it drilled specifically for my fingers.
Uh-huh.
Also not flirting with you, as far as you know. I am very grateful to Alicia and Emily, who got me a bracelet that is Morse code for I'd help you bury the body.
Nice.
Yeah, that's my girls. Beautiful Bronwyn sent me 5 dozen roses. Not sent them, delivered. Wow. 5 dozen roses. Beautiful Gina sent me flowers made into a little unicorn.
Uh-huh.
And because she's not, that's just not enough for her, a bundt cake sampler.
Oh.
Yeah, those are all gone. You can't have any of those. Sorry. They were small bundt cake, mini bundt cakes, all gone. Good. 2.5 in my tummy. 1.5 I shared.
Oh, well.
Not with you. Sorry, you weren't here. Timing is everything, my friend. If you were here, I would have shared them with you.
That,
yeah. My beloved Melissa sent me a bunch of different things. A taste of Cincinnati. I got Montgomeryan barbecue sauce. I got Gold Star cans of Gold Star chili. I got Frisch's Big Boy tartar sauce. And she sent me.
So does that mean you're going to try Bob's again and bring your own?
I thought about
tartar
it.
Sauce?
I thought about it because theirs was ranch dressing that ran down the side. I swore I'd never go again.
Can you go and say, "Hey, give it to me plain"? I got my own tartar sauce.
Maybe because I just, what I thought, I would just use the tartar sauce at home. But I like where your head's at because I swore I'd never go back. It was so terrible. But if I get it dry and do it myself, you might be right. I like where your head's at. You're smarter than me. I got the tartar sauce after I said I would never go again.
Sure.
But I can change my mind. I'm allowed.
Absolutely.
We live in America.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can go and get something else there if you really want. I mean,
and then put tartar sauce on it?
No, I just mean some of they have other things other than the Big Boy combo.
Big Boy is so it's so good, but it's the tartar sauce.
I mean, they have chili spaghetti.
I'm going to kick your ass.
No, they really do. That's the thing.
I'm from Cincinnati, you nut job. I know what chili spaghetti is. I would never order that at Bob's Big Boy.
Okay. That's the only.
I feel like blocking you right now.
That's the only place I've ever seen it.
Because it's a disgusting thing that no one needs.
Okay.
Sorry. Now I'm going to get letters and emails. I hope you're happy with yourself. You've constantly got to poke the bear. And then I tell you how I feel. And then Cincinnati natives yell at me. So thank you, Joshua, for making my hometown hate me.
Is that a Cincinnati thing?
Yes.
Okay. That's a regional dish?
Yes, I have a friend, my friend Suzanne from Arkansas. Her father went on some sort of training in Ohio, a work training, and he said, they put chili on spaghetti. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, we do.
Okay.
I don't know why, and we're not discussing it.
All right.
Anyway, moving on. And Melissa also sent me 6 pints of Grater's ice cream. So the list is like immense for my birthday. You people are so good to me and kind to me. It's like an embarrassment of joy, so much joy. So, and my birthday weekend was a bit of a clusterfuck, but I have to tell you this part because it's important. And I think it's only the listeners would really get it. So my actual birthday, we recorded the episode and then Joshua and I went to lunch and I opened up all my amazing presents from him. My actual birthday, June 6th, was spectacular. And then I had class that night. And my lovely professor in the middle of her PowerPoint presentation had a slide that said happy birthday.
Oh,
and she made everyone turn. And I was looking down taking notes and she goes, and she does the slide. She goes, and she's not looking. And I'm like, when I look up and it's like, an explosion of confetti. And I don't know how you do a PowerPoint slide that's like movable, but she did it.
I mean, if she's that good at Excel, she's probably that good at PowerPoint.
Everything.
Too.
Yeah. So it had black, and I said, oh my God, I'm sorry. Could you do that again? It had black curtains like on a stage that separated, and it said happy birthday, and it had like an explosion of confetti. And I'm like, that is so sweet. And she goes, okay, everyone, take a moment and turn around and wish Melissa a happy birthday. And I'm like, no, you really don't have to do that. But they all turned around and clapped. It was very sweet. And I took a picture of a still shot of because I didn't have time. She moves really fast. She talks really fast. And I didn't have time to do like a video of it, but I did take a picture of it because it's so sweet. And then I left Friday and drove down to Laguna Beach, where I have, Mark and I have a timeshare I wouldn't have if it weren't for Mark and the beautiful company he worked for. And I wanted to take a couple days at my beautiful timeshare. I say beautiful because it is sentimentally beautiful. It is, let's call it rustic. It's not fancy, but it is across the street from the ocean. You overlook Cliff Drive, and then you overlook the ocean. Okay. And it's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. It just feels homey and good, and I love it there. Yeah. So I picked up my birthday cake, which was a unicorn cake from Susie Cakes, and then I put a shark topper on top of it. So it was a unicorn with a shark. Yeah. Perfect. Both sides of me. Yeah. About 4:30 in the afternoon, showed up to check in, and they had fucked up my reservation. Oh, no. No, it was about 4 o'clock. But by 4:30, it was clear that the situation was not going to work. So I went to my car and sat in my car and sobbed. Man. And spent an hour looking for a place to stay at 4:30 on a Friday on Laguna Beach in June. Right. And another place that Mark and I had stayed, like my 40th birthday, that was going to be about $750 a night. So that wasn't going to work. Sure. And I just looked for anything, and I chose something because of the price and thought, okay, you can make this work, whatever it is. And then I went to check in and was like, oh no. And it's a place, it's overlooking the ocean, but not all of the units are. I had a small sliver. Okay. A small sliver between buildings of the ocean. Okay. It's kind of funny, but you're right. You're right close by. Who cares? Except the room is like, I love that you can get around things by calling it a boutique hotel. Got it. Boutique means old property, not, updated and right. So it's called, and I don't want to say the name, but let's say that it's got the word Laguna in it, and which everything does. And as I'm driving, as I'm driving to the property to check in, I'm like, oh shit, this is the place Mark and I used to drive by on PCH all the time and go, thank God we don't have to stay there. I'd forgotten the name. And I'm like, you're going to make this work. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. So I check in, and I am bawling. Oh, man. And they're wondering, like, what's wrong with me? And I'm like, oh, sorry, it's just been an emotional day. I am bawling. I go to my room, and I'm like, God damn it. It smells so bad of like mildew and musty. So I'm like, I need to go get something to make this room better. Sure. I apologize to Tip-Sters Charlotte and Fiona. I was supposed to have dinner with them that night, but I could not see because I was bawling. I'm like, we just can't. And then they were leaving for vacation the following day. So, by the way, they sent me my birthday present in the mail because I was crying so hard to show up. I couldn't show up to get it. And it's an amazing NARS blush and Fenty lip gloss that Tipster Fiona picked out for me. And she did great because I'm a very picky bitch about makeup, and she fucking knocked it out of the ballpark. Wow. So I really couldn't tell you how fucking blessed I am. But anyway, so I had to cancel dinner with them, which broke my heart. And I was like, I'm just going to go back to the room and cry. But I go to the Trader Joe's in Newport Beach, which was our routine, because we would check in to our room and go to Trader Joe's and get the inexpensive flowers. Okay. My favorite flowers, which are Stargazer lilies, and it's $5.99. Okay. And we would get a bouquet of Stargazer lilies, bring them back to our unit at our timeshare, and they smell delicious. They open up beautifully, and they're delicious and inexpensive. So I go and get my Stargazer lilies at the Newport Beach Trader Joe's, and I get a couple things of cheese and crackers to eat in the room. some brie and some crackers. And I'm in, I get in line. It's not busy. It's, 5:30 on a Friday night. And the lovely girl checking me out goes, "Hi, how are you today?" And I go, "You know what? I'm a crabby bitch."
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, "Why? What's going on, girl?" And I was like, "Well, my birthday was yesterday and I'm here to celebrate, and they fucked up my reservation." And I'm just like, crabby. And she's like, "Oh, it's going to get better." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure you're right." So she rings me up. And as I'm getting ready to leave, I look over my shoulder and there's fucking Keith Morrison. And I'm like, am I being punked? And it's dead in there. It's not a lot of people. And I turned and I go, "Mr. Morrison, I am so happy to see you. Why are you not at CrimeCon?"
Right.
And he goes, "Is it over?" And I go, "I think it ended yesterday. I think it ended on my birthday."
Oh, okay.
He said, "It's a zoo." And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Why aren't you at CrimeCon?"
Right.
And I go, "Oh, I don't really like the people that run it." And he goes, "Me either."
Oh.
I know. And I'm like, yeah, he's an ally. So I turned and I put my groceries down on the counter, and my little bag I have, and I put my palms together and I bow in front of him and I said, "You are the master. And I thank you for covering and handling people's difficult cases with the compassion you do." And he said, "Aren't you sweet?" And I said, "No." And I point to the clerk and I go, "Ask her. I'm just honest." And she looks at Keith Morrison and goes, "Yeah, she's just honest." So we're all kind of giggling. And I walk out and I'm on cloud nine. I'm like, I just fucking met Keith Morrison. Oh my fucking God. And I go to the parking lot and I'm putting my groceries away, and he is right behind me and he is right next to me.
Oh, he's parked next to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I go, "Mr. Morrison, I don't want to bother you, but no one's going to believe me unless I take a picture that I met you." And I said, "Can I have the picture?" And he said, "Of course." And he is the sweetest man. And I said, "Look, I've been crying my eyeballs out. I look like hammered shit." And he goes, "I look like hammered shit." And I go, "No, you do not." And he said, "Why are you crying?" And I said, "Well, it's, my birthday was yesterday and I was, down here. My husband and I had a timeshare. My husband passed away and this is kind of my safe haven." And he goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry." He's like, "Where are you from?" And I said, "Santa Clarita. It's just north of." And he goes, "I know where it is." And I was like, "Oh, I forgot. I'm sure you've covered cases here."
Sure.
And he goes, "Where are you staying?" And I said, "Well, we, have a timeshare at Laguna Shores." He goes, "Oh, I know Laguna Shores. It's lovely." And I go, "It's homey." And he goes, "Where are you staying now?" And I go, "Blank, blank."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh God, no, not there." And I'm like,
Keith Morrison
said, "Oh God, no, not there." And I'm like,
please.
"Yes." And he said, "I'm so sorry about your loss. And I wish, like anything, I had not been selfish and thought to say to him, because he's Matthew Perry's stepfather. I wanted to say, I'm so sorry about your loss, but I didn't, because I was too selfish thinking about myself."
Sure.
And I said, "Thank you so much. He really was, the best, my husband." And he said, "Would it be weird if I wished you a happy birthday?" And I go, "No, that is terrific." And he said, I hope you have a happy birthday." And I said, "I will from now on this weekend, because you made it,
right.
You made it beautiful."
Oh, wow.
And he's like, "Aren't you sweet?" And I go, "We've covered this." "No, I'm not." So that I got in my car and cried for a lot longer because I felt like that was a gift from God or the universe or Mark.
That's beautiful.
Like everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be okay. You got to meet one of your fucking gurus. I mean,
and he's
better than I could imagine.
Yeah. They say they warn, don't meet your heroes because
a lot of times, you don't want to see how the sausage is made.
But I'm so glad.
He is the best sausage. He is better. Oh, that sounded weird, didn't it?
Did a little bit.
Keith Morrison is the best sausage. He really is. What an
amazing person.
Yeah.
Wow.
He is as good as you imagine and better.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That was my birthday. My favorite birthday present was Keith Morrison sighting at Trader Joe's.
Wow. That's beautiful.
It really is. Like, I can't tell you. And I this is how you know how important it was. I took a picture of us and I literally look like hammered shit. My eyes are swollen shut. My hair is on top of my head in a ponytail. I look like hammered shit. And, Keith is hilarious. So, yeah.
Wow. That's so good.
It was,
oh man,
it was a true, I mean, I just felt like it was a God shot, you know, like
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know how this happened. The thing is, if I'd gone to dinner with Charlotte and Fiona, I would have missed it.
oh wow,
Yeah.
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
So yeah,
Okay, yeah. It was meant to be.
I think so
Yeah,
too.
good job.
I'm looking at it that way. I
Good job
have
following
to.
yourself. And,
Yeah. And I would never
holding
cancel on
yourself.
them, but I knew I would have just been the worst company ever.
Sure.
I don't want to sit there at dinner with them sobbing. That would have been terrible for them. And
Right.
I would have been trying to not be what I was, which was a mess.
Yeah, because you wouldn't have been sobbing. You would have.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
I would have tried to suck it up, but I don't think it would have worked.
Okay. Well,
Yeah. So everything worked the way it was supposed to, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Let,
Yeah.
let Keith Morrison hold space for you.
And he did. I mean, yeah. He's
Wow.
the GOAT, man.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
felt so, I don't know. I know it's a lot of people are like, who the fuck's that? But not people who listen to this podcast.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I
I can only show so many people the picture because people are like, oh, that's a nice picture of you and some old dude.
Some dude.
Yeah. with wily eyebrows. Yeah. Because he's not, getting ready to record yeah. Joshua's doing his impression of wily eyebrows. It's not going well.
Well, really, I'm doing my impression of Bill Hader doing
Keith Morrison.
Morrison's
eyebrows. I wanted to ask him what he thought of that, but I know he's shown up when Bill Hader's recording, and I think they both have such a love for each other.
Good.
So I knew the answer.
It's for sure out of love. I mean,
yeah.
Bill Hader is,
but Keith Morrison loves it.
Yeah.
I don't think Josh Mankiewicz loves his Bill Hader's impression of him.
Ben Mankiewicz loves Bill Hader.
Well, yeah, because it's true. It's so fucking good.
Bill Hader was on Ben Mankiewicz's podcast,
mm-hmm.
and Ben says, "Oh my gosh, I just have to. Me and my whole family have to thank you because we keep doing this at every occasion. We do your bit of my brother,
and that's the beauty of impressions. You pick out one or two catchphrases that someone's known for that you don't, in your psychology, you're not even sure you know that. Sure. But I mean, his Josh Mankiewicz is like, when most people run into a guy with an axe and with blood on it, they, call the police. But you didn't do that, did you? Which is exactly the thing that Josh Mankiewicz says all the time.
Right.
So, yeah, it's like spectacular.
Yeah.
Spectacular. Yeah. Okay, well, on to the actual reason we do this podcast. And this one is tougher than most, and it's got a lot of layers for me. And it's turned out the way it is because we're just going to do it today. I had thought about postponing it, but I've been working on it for a while. And it's also one I've told a few people in the last few days who have asked what we're working on next, that I want to do it and get it behind me because it's so difficult. I, have never had the pleasure or joy of having kids. I hate doing podcasts about kids. I just hate it. It doesn't matter how they die, accidental or, at the hands of someone else. I never want to talk about a kid. I just don't. So this one I had been working on for a while and a lot of research that was kind of dry, but I kept plowing through it. And I was so excited because yesterday, the day before Joshua and I have set to record this week, I was going to take a webinar about the case. And I was so excited and it was postponed.
Oh, no.
But I decided to go ahead and record this today because the postponement is about 2.5 months away. And I feel like I know why now.
You feel like you know why?
Some things have come up as to why.
Okay.
It's postponed.
So there's updates that aren't going to be able to hit until a couple months. Okay.
Yes. So we will probably do a follow-up on this.
Okay, cool.
In several months, but I wanted to go ahead and do it because there has been it's 5 years old.
Okay.
But there has been updates and re-examinations of this case the entire time.
Right.
Including and up till a month ago.
Okay.
May of 2024.
Okay.
And I thought that was going to be the end, but they have added an additional part to this starting in August.
Okay.
So the webinar I was going to take yesterday is put out by an amazing company called Thermo Fisher. They sponsor a whole lot of amazing guest speakers and webinars and classes on evidence collection and, the proper handling and how people involved in an investigation get to where they're going. And Thermo Fisher makes like medical supplies, like hazmat suits and protective gear for those in the medical world. I mean, it's a fascinating company, but so, this is sort of a creative offshoot for them.
And they're doing it so like, hey, you use us as a supplier for for all your suits and gloves.
It's like Forensics Magazine is one of the sponsors. Sure. And Thermo Fisher doesn't put themselves forward that much. But yeah.
But that kind of like name recognition. And when you're,
I'm grateful to them.
Yeah, that's cool.
So the title of this webinar was 7,000 Miles Away. And it was, the guest speaker was a forensic pathologist from the United States who was working on this case, which is in New Zealand.
Okay.
So in January of 2019, a beautiful little 3-year, 8-month-old boy named Lachlan Jones.
Oh, boy.
I know. Wandered away from home, according to the original investigation, and drowned in a oxidation pond that was a little over like 1.5 meters from his home, which, I found out means like 0.7 of a mile, like, or 3/4 of a mile here, like 0.75.
1.5 kilometers from his home. Okay.
Yeah. Sure. But that's like 3/4 of a mile from in US measurements.
Okay. Fair.
Which you think that's a long way for a little boy to go.
That's a big wander.
I'm going to be very interested in your opinion as a father of 3 boys. And I know all of your boys have different personalities. So as it turns out, the mother also had 3 boys, but her two older sons were from her first marriage, and they were quite a bit older, almost adults.
Okay.
And Lachlan was with her, her partner of the last 10 years. And it comes down to, I'll just be honest, a grieving father who cannot imagine anything other than someone doing something terrible.
Okay.
He at first accused the mother and her 2 older sons. He then has said, I have never said Michelle killed him. I have grave concerns about her 2 older sons.
Oh, Jesus.
There have been things lobbed at each other that are so ugly. She has never accused him of hurting the boy because, he was not on the property. He was at work. Okay. It's, she owns a house, kind of a rural area.
Okay.
And he has, there have been accusations that the 2 older boys killed Lachlan and put him in a freezer for a while and then dumped him in the oxidation pond.
Oh, geez.
I will be honest with you, after listening to hours and hours and hours of a coroner's inquest with, I can't tell you how many witnesses, I still don't have the kernel of where that accusation came from.
Oh, okay. Right.
At first they
aside from just the emotion
pointing your finger.
Right,
yeah.
Right.
Like, oh, the temperature of his body is unexplainable. And it's like, well, no, that's not exact. That's not true. So let's go over the details as I know it. I will tell you that one reason I'm never really jazzed about talking about cases from other countries, and let's be honest, sometimes it's hard to talk about cases from this country because every state, every jurisdiction has different ways of handling it and different, words and different charges. And, does, manslaughter 1, manslaughter 2, murder 1, premeditated murder, murder with special circumstances, golly jeepers. So I do have to say I am impressed with the amount of professionalism in New Zealand, being such a small country, the amount of professionalism in maybe not so much in investigations, but definitely in the medical world of, investigating suspicious or unexplained deaths. I believe the police in this case in Gore, which is the town that this happened, is small. And I believe the investigators have taken responsibility and said, we might have messed this up. We didn't do things as thoroughly. It was a child. We, don't have a lot of these cases. We may have handled it the way you would handle an adult case. Okay. And the medical professionals said something similar. But I will tell you, the coroner from a larger area who was asked and tasked to look at this case opened a coroner's inquest, which is not easily done, not often done. And I am very grateful and have a lot of respect for him for doing this. Cool. I will also tell you that his opening statement is one of the most professional, compassionate, beautiful things I've ever heard, because this coroner has spent a lot of time, a lot of months looking into the case before deciding to open the inquest. Yeah. And said basically the crux of what he said is, we're all here to work on behalf of Lachlan.
Oh, wow.
He keeps the important focus in mind and reiterates it every step of the way.
Wow. Okay.
When attorneys questioning people tend to veer off, he ushers them back. Like, this is just more, hearsay or opinion. This is not a trial. This is an inquest.
Got it.
Keep the focus in mind. Right. I mean, I have such respect for this man. He is terrific. He's a young Asian person, or maybe, person of New Zealand ethnicity, but he looks Asian. Okay. And his last name is Ho, H-O, Alexander Ho.
Okay.
Coroner Alexander Ho. And he is pretty spectacular. So there are attorneys representing Paul Jones, the father.
Okay.
And attorneys representing the police, because, again, it's not a trial. And it's not a civil case, it's a coroner's inquest. But the way things are handled in New Zealand are very interesting. And I will tell you, there is a fantastic podcast called The Boy in the Water. And it is done by a woman named Melanie Reid, who is a longtime journalist in New Zealand that is very well respected, kind of like a combination of Barbara Walters and Christiane Amanpour. She, you know what I mean? A lot of people call themselves like an investigative journalist. I'm like, you're fuck nothing. Go fuck yourself. Right. There's so many, I'm so angry right now at the podcast space. So many shitty true crime podcasts that are just, I'm an investigative journalist. No, you're not even close. You rip and read Wikipedia shit. Or
don't even fact check
spelling, right. Yeah. Or you are a dirt digger who does a podcast basically preying on people that are mentally ill, calling them frauds,
right?
And scammers. And it's like, ugh, I can't. I just really, yeah. Anyway, I've obviously got funny. A lot of hard feelings.
Yeah, you sound like the girl at unloading on the end of Bonwin.
Bodkin.
Yeah, excuse me.
It's
she's unloading on
it's murder porn or something.
Yes,
but that's not even that. It's not even that. What it's people who call themselves a true crime podcast. And true crime doesn't have to mean an unsolved homicide. There are so many podcasts that like to, expose what they think are scammers and stuff. Yeah. And some of them are well done, not most. But the ones that are angering me right now are people who call themselves investigative journalists, and you're a fucking shit stirrer is what you are.
Right, yeah.
Like, oh, this is going to be big. No, it's not.
No, there wasn't, yeah.
Nobody cares.
Right.
You piece of shit.
Right.
Sorry.
And they're just stirring up the shit that they're stirring is just emotions. It's not
right.
There's no
it's not fact. It's like, I've got an email that proves you've got nothing.
No. Right. Yeah.
What you have is somebody pointing a finger going, this person's bad.
Right.
I'm going to do a podcast on it and
Right.
make some money. Well, good for you behind your paywall.
Right.
Anyway. Okay. The podcast I'm talking about is really terrific, The Boy in the Water. And
Oh, wow. Okay.
they may make, done by a journalist from a, trusted news company in New Zealand. And they may make money for sure, but that I don't think is at all the original motivation.
Okay.
It was to cover this case,
Right.
which is huge in New Zealand.
Sure.
So it's got a little bit of a return to the Joanne Matouk case. Anything involving a drowning where something can't be answered,
Right.
is difficult.
Right.
So the original pathologist concluded that Lachlan died of drowning, and that was it.
Okay.
Just drowning. He was found face up in this oxidation pond. It's like a government kind of, you can see, like, you see something similar on like the 5 freeway before you get like right near Silmar before you go up to 405.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know exactly what that means in New Zealand words, but it's a pretty big, like man-made
Right.
pond. It's not a pond. It feels bigger. It's between a pond and a lake, the size of it. There are pictures online of Paul Jones, the father, standing, looking out where his son was found.
Okay.
3/4 of a mile from his mother's home. So if we go backward, Paul and Michelle Officer, which is her last name, which, because that sounds confusing to me dealing with, investigators,
Sure.
we're going to call them Michelle and Paul.
Got it.
Father Paul, mother Michelle. They met when Michelle worked at a company, and there are also so many words that are commonplace in, New Zealand that I'm like, what the fuck is that? As an example, Lachlan is often called Lockie.
Lucky. Okay.
His diaper is called a nappy.
A nappy.
His kindergarten is called kindy.
Okay.
Kindy, even by the attorneys
Okay.
and the judge, it's kindy. I guess they shorten everything. I don't know. It's
okay.
So yeah, kindy. And yet, a sprinkler that Lachlan enjoyed in the backyard is very officially referred to as a pineapple sprinkler because it was the shape of a pineapple and the water came out of the top. It's never just a sprinkler. It's a pineapple. Yeah.
Like we're talking about the hose. The hose goes out and you put it in the middle of the lawn and it's around.
But what it comes out of is a pineapple.
All right.
It'd be like me saying my flamingo sprinkler or my unicorn sprinkler, just fucking sprinkler.
Yeah.
But everyone calls it the pineapple sprinkler.
It's very descriptive. I
know it is.
But, okay.
It's every time I have listened to so much testimony, my brain hurts. That's why we're doing this, because I want this in my rearview mirror until there is an update.
Okay.
Anything involving this. Look at this kid. I mean, he looks like he could have been one of your kids.
Oh,
he's just incredibly beautiful, little blonde-haired, blue-eyed, little minx. So the story goes that Michelle and Paul met when he was a delivery person delivering things to her office, and she went out with a group of people after work, and he joined them. And within a month, they were living together. The reasoning why is debated. Paul said that she was like, hey, you should just move in. She said he was homeless, living with someone who he said was a roommate, and it wasn't working out. She finds out later it was a girlfriend.
Jeez.
And needed a place to live. And she's like, well, I just said, yeah, come on, live with me. She owned her own home.
Okay.
She made more money than him, I guess. And, she had 2 sons from her previous marriage.
Right.
And they were a little older. They were together 10 years, and Lachlan was born after like 7 years. So it wasn't like they, got together because of the baby, and he had been told as a young person he could never have kids. Paul was told he could never have kids.
Okay.
And a year or so before Lachlan was born and she was able to give birth, they got pregnant, and she had a miscarriage.
Mhm.
But he was thrilled to death when he figured out he could have kids.
Wow.
You know, he'd gone most of his adult life thinking he could not. And then
Right.
here, she has gets pregnant and then has a miscarriage.
Okay.
And I was wondering if Lachlan came along, because he's a little older than Michelle, and he's not like 25. He's firmly in his 40s, maybe
Okay.
early 50s.
Got it.
And I was worried maybe this was a surprise, and that's why they stayed together, and there was resentment. No, they'd been together quite a long time. They had lost a baby, and he said, I was over the moon with joy when I found out she was pregnant again, and so happy that Lachlan made it to term. And he's my only son. I was living with her and her sons, and he said, I take full responsibility that maybe I wasn't as attentive to her sons, who were a lot older, because Lachlan was my biological child.
Right.
So he admits that. Apparently he was good with the boys until his boy came along,
Oh, it switched up.
Yeah.
Okay.
He admits that. Now the older son was old enough to like move out.
Sure.
The middle son was in his mid to late teens.
Okay. But if you get together as stepdad, as bonus dad, you come in with a 5 and an 8-year-old or ish, whatever, and there's I'm sure a little bit of an adjustment time, and then they get to adolescence and teenage years. They're pushing away at that point,
right?
So I'm not sure that
Interesting.
it's and then you have your own kid 7 years later, okay,
right?
Okay, I'm not sure that it's necessarily only on him that they're starting to separate.
Good point.
I think there's a natural separation as teenagers
become their own.
Yeah. That's okay and cool. Good on you for taking on yourself in it, but it also is okay. They pushed away too. I'm imagining they pushed away also in a healthy way. That's a good point. The timing just seems that way. That's a
very good point. Thank you.
Yeah.
And your perspective as a dad is very helpful here.
I mean, because you want you want them to be full on self-sufficient,
right,
at 18,
right?
Go be your own adults.
And Paul Jones is very clear that the two older boys were terrific with Lachlan when he first came along.
That's amazing. He
said they were really good protectors. They were great with him. At one point, the older boy goes to live with his father.
Okay.
He moves out like at 18.
Okay.
And the middle son goes and lives with his dad too, but he ends up moving back in about a year before
same dad.
Lachlan.
The two of them, same dad. Okay.
He ends up moving back in about a year before Lachlan passes away.
Okay.
So Michelle, this is the most interesting part of the inquest. She asks to be kept, her identity kept private due to mental health reasons. So they clear the courtroom and set up a bunch of screens around the testimony box.
Oh, so nobody can take a picture of her?
Or so she doesn't have to look at Paul, or I don't know.
Huh.
But they honored her request, and she is kept behind a screen. So anything that's handed to her by anyone questioning her, they have to go around the screen and hand it to her. It's fascinating.
Wow.
I've never seen that in a U.S. courtroom.
Wow.
But they respected her privacy, and the coroner, honored that, and they, did this thing. She has not spoken in 5 years about her son's case.
Wow.
Right.
Huh. All right.
So she is on the stand, and she is questioned, and she is crying quite a bit. And she describes Lachlan as a very rambunctious little boy. He did not understand you can't run into the road. She couldn't take her eyes off of him for a second.
Right.
She, one time got him out of the car and put him down on the ground and turned around. And by the time she turned around, he was running into the road.
Oh,
neighbors reported this, that she was an attentive mother, and yet it was difficult to keep an eye on him at all times. I think he sounds like he was exhausting.
Sure.
Paul Jones describes his son as a lazy little bastard.
Huh.
So it's very diverse descriptions of him.
Yeah, wow.
Like I said, neighbors. He had one neighbor friend who his mother went to visit quite often, and he felt comfortable and was apparently, really good at climbing, and would run across the yard and climb the fence to go see her and show up at her house. And she'd be like, I have to take him back home now. I mean, if there's more than one person saying this kid was on the run,
Right.
and that's an age where they kind of are.
Sure.
I did want to know what you thought.
I had 2 3-year-olds that were very, yeah.
Don't take your eyes off because they're down the street as a sprinter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, they also were, all my boys were good listeners. They didn't run into the road and things like that. If I yelled stop, they would stop.
Right.
But yeah, I could see that. And I have seen other kids like that where you yell stop and they don't stop.
Right.
Or,
We're talking about a 3-year, 8-month-old little boy.
Yeah.
Now, here's something I do want to ask you, because I don't know a lot about raising babies, of course. I don't know nothing about birth and no babies because I ain't never had none. I thought babies were sort of out of diapers by 2.
It depends.
So he's 3 years and 8 months and he's still in a diaper.
There's a very
literally
personal, it's a crapshoot. Yeah. Yeah. It's all over the place.
Okay.
And especially if he's going to kindy and they're changing his diapers, they're not pushing. If one of the things that pushes parents to potty train sooner would be,
I don't want you shitting your pants at school.
Well, the school won't allow diapers.
Oh, okay.
You have to be potty trained in order to go to this particular school.
Got it.
There's a bunch of different schools that you have to.
Okay.
So that gets pushed. I don't know. That doesn't, whatever. That's 3.5. He's maybe on the later end, but not.
It's feasible.
It's feasible. It's fine. And that just means they didn't push it because his school, if he's in kindy, like you said,
right. He is.
Then his school there, all you got to do is bring a bag
supply them
with diapers to the school. And
so he was there, the day that he, was found deceased. He was at kindy,
right.
His mom dropped him off in the morning, picked him up in the afternoon. There's also a debate about timing from both parents, pointing fingers at one another.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Michelle's not pointing a finger at Paul, but Paul's pointing 10 fingers at Michelle. And I get it. He is a grieving father. His one and only child is gone,
right.
In a terrible way. Right. A coroner, a pathologist, a clinical pathologist has ruled that your child died from drowning. And then you hire an outside investigator. New Zealand apparently uses for most autopsies a clinical pathologist, which I didn't know. The difference was that they basically examine skin cells and fluids and, things like that from, an autopsy report. A forensic pathologist actually does the autopsy and examines the body.
Gotcha.
So a forensic pathologist was called in after the clinical pathologist said drowning.
Okay.
The forensic pathologist said, I agree. It was drowning. Questions were brought up about the weight of his lungs, which did not appear to be enlarged with water.
Huh.
As we know with Joanne Matuk, it could be a dry drowning.
Sure.
But still be considered a drowning.
Right.
He was found face up.
But it was a summer in New Zealand. January summer in New Zealand, yeah?
I guess so.
It's warm weather.
Because they did discuss the temperature of the water.
Okay.
and the temperature of his body, which they said was colder than the water.
Okay.
So there are questions. I think a small body might be a whole different ball game than an adult body.
Right.
And they just didn't have that many child cases.
Sure.
That is why the amazing coroner, Alexander Ho, brought forth an inquest. And they interviewed so many people. And they took a break after mid-May, and they will pick back up the second part of the inquest in August of 2024.
Huh. Okay.
I know, which is another reason why I wanted to consider postponing this, but after the webinar from yesterday was pushed to August, I'm like, no, we're doing it now. Right. And then if we have to update this in September, if something different comes up, if a different verdict comes up or more research is needed, I will tell you.
Okay.
we'll do an update. But how Paul Jones has been screaming at the top of his lungs for so long, I was concerned about the last 8 months of my son's life at the hands of his stepbrothers. And I don't know what changed. It was like he made it seem like after Lachlan's 3rd birthday, he did not like the treatment of Lachlan by his 2 older brothers. And he thinks they put him in a freezer they killed him somehow, put him in a freezer for an extended period of time, and then put him in the oxidation pond to make it look like a drowning.
Wow.
He said, I know my son would not wander off that far.
Okay.
He's a 3-year, 8-month-old boy. And at some points they make it seem like he couldn't have been smart enough to do X, Y, or Z. I find it fascinating that the day he died, he said to his mom, I've gone, number 2 in my diaper. If he's verbal enough to say that,
sure.
He understands concepts.
Yeah.
The kindergarten teacher said he was a lot of energy,
right.
Ran around a lot. He didn't have trouble concentrating per se, but spent a lot of his time, playing with others and also being concerned for and caring for others and wanting to make sure they were happy.
Oh, that's sweet.
They also say that Michelle Officer was an attentive and wonderful mother.
Wow.
So,
and I'm sorry, we've danced around this a little bit. He's not slow. Like he's not
right.
I had
wondered about that, but I think maybe at 3 years and 8 months, I don't know if you can get
seems like a normal,
like a regular kid. Yeah, I don't
okay.
think you can get like a real proper diagnosis. Yeah, like it's not that he's nonverbal. Right. Absolutely, it's not that he isn't active and creative and all of the things that a little boy would be at that age. He's also, according, not hyperactive, but according to most people, high energy.
A high energy. All boys are, no, not all. Many boys are very high energy at 3 years old. And okay. And some are obstinate and whatever. And it's they call it terrible 2s and whatever 3s and whatever 4s. And because
people have experienced that.
Yeah. Some kids are testing boundaries more than others. Okay.
I don't,
it seems though he's probably
in the mid-range.
Yeah. Okay.
If he's your kid and your little brother, maybe it's like, oh, he is a lot,
Sure.
But you're having hard days and good days. And, Paul Jones said that he was very upset when the middle son smacked Lachlan's hand when he was grabbing for something. Hitting a kid, we can debate that all day long. Smacking their hand to keep them away from something, I don't think like that's abuse.
It's not abuse.
Right.
I don't know if it's a choice I would make, but yeah, it's I would not call it abuse either.
Right.
Yeah.
He also said the older son brought a friend over before he had moved out, and the son's friend was drunk and he urinated near Lachlan. Like, I don't think he like pissed on him. Maybe the guy was drunk, or he was drunk. But it's like, what do you
mean near? Like they were outside, or
I don't know. Maybe he's in the bathroom or something, and Lachlan comes in and he turns around with his penis in his hand. What? And I don't know.
Sure,
he didn't explain.
All right,
he didn't explain. I will tell you that it does come down to, not ironically, a pissing contest between the two parents. Michelle refers to Paul as, again, homeless. She said he had full access to Lachlan, but didn't always have the means, the ways, the funds to come and see him. He would take him sometimes and go to a hotel. They would all three go because the other two boys, the older one lives with the father. The middle one lived with the father, moved back in, was old enough to stay by himself, late teens. And they would go to a hotel together where Paul could sleep with Lachlan and she would sleep on a couch or a pull-out sofa or something, so they'd all be in the same hotel room. They were not, quote unquote, together.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know the exact year. I think it might have been 2018. Paul, the police were called because of a domestic.
Yeah, there you go. Go ahead.
Paul said all he did was push her. Michelle said he was drunk and she feared for herself and Lachlan. He was physically abusive to both of them. There was, she'd filed a domestic violence charge. There was an investigation. And after about a year, he had limited access to Lachlan for that time. Mm-hmm. After about a year, which literally was maybe a month before Lachlan passed away, she had withdrawn that so that he could, in her words, have more access to his son.
Right.
He would occasionally stay at her house, but he would sleep with Lachlan in like the master bedroom and she would sleep on a couch.
Okay.
And both of their words, they were working toward a reconciliation, but it wasn't like full on yet.
Sure.
She said, sometimes I would bring Lachlan to meet him. Like, I don't know how far away they live from each other, but meet like halfway, and that they would stay in a hotel so he could spend time with Lachlan and she would just kind of be in the periphery and sleep, like I said, on a couch.
Right.
The night before he died, Paul had stayed at her home. She had slept on a couch because she wasn't, ready to get back together yet, but both of them describe it as we were being civil. Cool. We were communicating again. That
sounds way more than civil. I mean, that sounds like really working.
They were both working on it. And Paul and Lachlan.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, I know you don't. I know you don't know what that's like.
At my boy's mom's house, like,
and her sleeping on the couch,
like,
and you guys can have a sleepover.
Yeah, well, no, that
without a blow dart being used for somebody. You're going down. Yeah. She slept on the couch, and he and Lachlan slept in the master bedroom. Now, Paul said when Lachlan woke up that morning, he wrapped his arms around his dad and said, "I don't want to stay here anymore. Can we go to a hotel?"
Oh.
Now, that's what he said. Michelle was not in earshot, I guess, didn't hear that. They both agree she made him eggs for breakfast. Paul said, "I kissed them both goodbye and went to work." She takes him to kindergarten. She picks him up in the afternoon. She and Paul have texted all through the day.
Right.
They're communicating. She went to the grocery store to get something for dinner, and she said there was nowhere to park. So she just went home. And then after a while, went to get pizza for dinner. In the meantime, her middle son is working out with weights in his room. And I guess he has like a barbell caught on his chest or something. And he texts his mom, "Can you come and help me?"
Jeez.
So she goes in to help him.
Wow.
She comes back to the kitchen, pours a glass of juice, and it's about, I don't know, 8:30 p.m.
Oh.
No, she picked up the pizza at 8 and said that Lachlan was eating the pizza, and then in somewhere in the middle, her middle son needed help. She helps him. She comes back. She's pouring a glass of juice. She looks out the kitchen window and she said, "There's a little kid that looks like he's dressed like Lachlan, like climbing over a fence,
Oh, Lord.
maybe going to the neighbors again."
Sure.
She puts the juice down, runs out, is looking for him. The neighbor comes out and is helping. They can't find him. People are looking all over, and then not long after that, they find him in the pond.
That night, they found him in the pond then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
She calls the police at 9 and says, "My son is missing. Do you know where he is?" "Well, I think I saw either him or some little boy dressed like him climbing over a fence." Now, we're talking about a town that's about 8,000 people.
Right.
So it's small. The yards are big. There is some space, but it's still kind of a suburb, but also close to this, government-owned, city-owned pond that's surrounded, by not a big road and a lot of vegetation and not a fence.
Oh, there's no fence.
Not around the pond.
Huh. Okay. So
at
easily
least standing.
A kid just running because he's.
So this is going to depend on how big.
Running.
He doesn't look like a big kid, but I don't know how old the pictures are. So Joshua and I had a conversation last week because he got to meet a 20-year-old boy that I've known since he was 5. And when I met him, he was, like 5.5 feet tall or something. And I thought he was like 8.
Right.
And was like, why does that kid talk like that?
Right.
Because he's, it was the previous owners of this house that Mark and I bought. And he was in the backyard and they had a little pug. And he's like, "Watch out for the dog poop." And I was like, why does that kid talk like that? Because he's 5.
Because he's 5.
And I thought he was 8 or more. And like, why is he talking goofy? Because he's 5. Yeah. So I will tell you, there's like, what are they called? Like cattails and reeds and things kind of surrounding the vegetation that surrounds a body of water.
Right.
So there's an orange cone and Paul Jones standing right, in the area where Lachlan was found. And to me, I'm like, how the hell did he get down there? But it's not that hard. It's also very close to the road. He could have just kind of, gone across the road. And, he also loved water. He loved ducks. He loved being around water. I guess they'd never had an issue of him like running into the water, but he just, according to one side, he ran everywhere. According to his dad, he's a lazy little bastard.
Yeah, I don't buy that. I
don't know a lot of 3 to 4 year olds that are lazy little bastards. They're all like, "Wee, dun 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 dun."
Yeah, I mean,
most parents I know are like, "God, I wish I had that energy." Most parents are not like, "Look at my lazy bastard son."
I'm trying to think. Okay, the dad leaves in the morning. The mom drops him off at kindy, picks him up. There's a record of that.
Yes.
So his only question can be from afternoon pickup on.
Like late afternoon, like let's say 4 to 5 hours, from 4 to 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. when she calls the police.
That doesn't seem like enough time for any nefarious thing to go on.
Like they get home, he's immediately killed by his stepbrothers. He's put in the freezer. Like his mom is covering for them, maybe like for 4 hours, like she doesn't notice her son's gone, or I know what you did, and now we have to make it look like it's a
yeah. So she's in on it somehow,
right?
But why put him in the freezer if you're? I mean,
until you decide what to do. I mean, I don't know.
It sounds really
It really does, doesn't it?
Like, I'm not saying,
and I'm trying to see both sides. I'm trying to remain balanced. Like, why does he feel this? And then he'll say, I've never accused Michelle. Well, you did. At the beginning, you did. You said they were all three in on it. And then you change your mind and it's just her two sons, but she still has to be in on it because there's no way he would be missing X amount of time and then, show up in the pond. Also, the coroner is like, if he had been kept in a freezer for any amount of time, that would have shown in his body. And it's like, why is his body temperature low? I don't know. But is it low enough to have been what happens to the skin in a freezer? People have kept bodies in freezers for a long time and then put them out somewhere. And coroners always know.
Right.
They always know. Yeah. And the person could have been out in the elements for a very long time, but they can still say, oh, there's evidence that this person was kept in a freezer for a time being.
Yeah. I don't buy the freezer at all.
I believe
it doesn't
either.
Like, why, even if you did it, so older brother
loses his shit
and goes over the top and kills the baby. Then you gotta figure it out right now, and then mom is now covering for her older son, and they somehow maybe he already figured out, okay, I'm gonna go do. I don't know. She's still got a cell phone record that she went over to buy the pizza, right? Or I mean, so. Is she being that inattentive that she didn't know
for 4 hours that her toddler son is missing?
Well, he must be around here somewhere. I'll go pick up pizza. I don't know.
I know, and I'm trying to figure out where he gets this. And I believe that the coroner's inquest was held because the coroner wanted to make a point that the previous investigation was not handled correctly. I don't know that the coroner's inquest is held because the coroner feels that the mother or the stepbrothers had something,
So what? Yeah, now I'm really curious of what new information or what's going to come up in the next few months.
Remember, a coroner's inquest is not a trial.
Sure,
it's just a finding. We need to get to an answer here. It's just a presentation of one side and the other, or why was this handled this way? I mean, I do think some, people have something to answer for, but I feel bad about this because I can't even give you like a police number to call. If you are a listener in New Zealand, the numbers. I can't give you one from here, but I will tell you that once I take the webinar with the, forensics pathologist from the US and see what she has to say and find out more information at the second part of this inquest, I promise you there will be an update.
Yeah.
But I really urge you, I will just be truthful. I can't stand a New Zealand accent and the words. I know. I
love it so much.
I can't listen to fucking Crocodile Dundee, and I don't like that accent. But Melanie Reed is a wonderful journalist. There's another podcast I think called Guilt, and he was the host's name is Ryan, and he was investigating it similarly timed. But Melanie Reed had been working on it for 4 years, and she is just a very well-respected journalist. So he did what he called a mini episode of it, and several episodes actually. And he said, I'm going to proceed with what would have been my line of questioning to the witnesses that I would have talked to.
Okay.
But Melanie Reed, it's you can listen to both, but I think Melanie Reed's The Boy in the Water is very well done. It can also be kind of dry, but she is a great journalist.
Yeah.
I'll just say that. So, yeah.
I don't know. I don't. It seems it seems like everything is up front, and unfortunately,
Right.
it's a really bad timed accident.
It's a very terrible situation, and I understand to the best of my ability how Paul Jones feels.
Oh, totally.
And I am really hoping that Michelle Officer is just a mom that is brokenhearted and grieving, and that, it happened the way she said.
Yeah, I mean, because you're doing the best you can.
You hope.
You've got teenage sons and
a toddler.
This toddler who's ornery and fast and high energy and whatever. And you're trying to get everything done, and the grocery store, there's nowhere to park. And you finally, okay, I'm just going to pick up pizza. And then you turn around to pour your glass of juice, and there goes your toddler out.
Right. You're like, what is that outside over the fence? That's that my son.
And then, hours later, you
can't catch him.
You can't catch him.
You don't know where he went.
God, I mean, how hard that must be,
right?
To not blame yourself,
right?
I can't imagine that she doesn't blame herself,
right?
I'm also, I'm with Paul saying, well, I wasn't even there, and I'm going to point my finger and and whatever.
Right. You understand both sides.
Sure, I understand the anger of it, and going, instead of pointing at God, the universe, and everything, you're going to point at the human beings involved, and okay. But I don't see none of his guesses line up to anything that seems possible.
I'm having a hard time understanding how he came to his conclusions other than grief.
Yeah, he's in the middle of the anger of it, and
yes, and understandable.
Which is understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially you go through your whole life not thinking you can have kids, and then later, okay, there's a miracle baby.
A miracle baby. You're exactly right.
And then he's only a few years later.
Your miracle baby's gone. Yeah. I understand both sides. I do. Yeah. I think it's going to be fascinating, and I'm praying the powers that be actually get to the bottom of this. And I promise you, anything else that comes out, there will be an update. But I'm grateful that you listened to this episode of, what actually happened to Lachlan Jones. And if you have a tip on a missing person or an unsolved homicide for us over here, me and Titty Fit Devin, or if you just want to suggest a case, please give us a call at 832-TIPSTER. That's 832-847-7837. You can always email us at jttipsters@gmail.com. You can find us on any of the social media platforms, just the Tipsters Facebook page, at JT Tipsters on Instagram, at JT Tipsters Pod on Twitter, and more cowbell.
If you would like to support this podcast and get early access and other cool murderous swag, go to patreon.com/justthetipsters.